Hello, and welcome to another terrifying episode of Cult Film Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love, but no one else gets, and see if they still hold up. Last year, we took a look into the beyond. We discovered magic in Hocus Pocus, battled vampires in Fright Night, and kicked a wolfman in the nods with the Monster Squad. Tonight, grab your pitchforks, sharpen your bayonet, and stay out of the pool, because tonight, we're talking about The Prowler. Directed by Joseph Zito and special effects by Tom Salvini, this Halloween edition of Cult Film Review is sure to terrify you. So let's start the show.
Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, welcome to a very spooky episode of Cult Film Review. This is our Halloween edition where we always do horror films throughout the whole month of, horror or Halloween themed movies throughout the whole month of October. As always, I am joined by Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbrecht.
What's up?
And Michael Salucio.
Hello.
Tonight we are
Okay.
Tonight we are talking about Kyle's pick, The Prowler. It came out in 1981, I believe. It is directed by Joseph Zito, and Tom Salvini did the special effects, which is pretty awesome. Kyle, gotta ask you, why did you pick The Prowler?
Because I couldn't find Suspiria streaming anywhere or on DVD. That was the pick I really wanted. This was second pick. I've never seen it before. I always remember the box art as a kid in the video store. I always remember it looking like kind of creepy and being a slasher film. So I thought, hey, you know what? This might be fun to check out. So I said, fuck it, let's do this.
Had anyone seen this movie before? I'd never seen it before. Had anybody seen it?
I had also seen the poster.
Only.
Same here, though. Yeah. I've seen the poster art for this too. Never seen the movie. Chris?
Never seen it. No, but definitely heard about it. Like, you know, as one of the slides. It was always in the horror movie books. You know, like the books that would go through the years of different horror films. And I always remember this one popping up. That image of the slasher with the pitchfork.
See, I remember the one where he's holding the girl in the pool.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's, like, to me in the poster, which I always intrigued me about this movie, it always looks like a melting man or some kind of, like, weird.
I totally agree.
Like, tar man kind of thing. And that's
like it was a monster of some sort, like an army monster or something.
Like an army zombie or something like that was decrepit and falling apart.
I remember the lighting of it also looking like it was like photographed in a mall. You know what I mean? Like a glamour shot before they put the filter on. That's what it kind of looks like to me.
I mean,
like just one floodlight.
Well, the one that we're talking about, I think was that a drawing? I thought.
Yeah, I think it might be.
That was a drawing. Now, there's the other one, which is the more common, which is like the side profile of him.
Yeah, that's the one
that
I'm
one
talking
certainly looks chintzy as hell.
Yeah, it sure does.
Very, very
like a cameo.
Yeah.
What a weird scene to use for the cover art too, because it's not even like really that prevalent of a scene. Like the pool scene, I don't really feel like it was that big of a deal for it to warrant the cover.
Yeah, it happened so quickly, that scene. Like,
but I feel like that cover is also done to hide the fact that the killer in this movie may not be that interesting.
That could be true. I thought he always looked kind of like, he reminded me of the killer from My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, there's been, I did read there's a lot of comparisons between that film and this one.
Yeah.
He looked like a World War II scarecrow.
Yeah.
Just like a bag over
That's
his head.
actually standard issue. They use those.
What's that?
II.
The bag?
Scarecrows.
Oh, yeah.
Scarecrows.
That's how we won the war.
To distract the enemy.
it's like keep the Nazis off your cornfield.
Just scare them away. They thought we had a bunch of soldiers. We didn't. We had about 5.
And a ton of scarecrows.
A lot of scarecrows.
A ton of scarecrows, though. That's what they were doing. That's what the women were doing back in World War II in those factories. They were building bombs.
Stuffing fatigues.
Setting them off.
Oh shit.
So this movie came out in 1981, which it was surrounded by a plethora of other slasher films that came out in 1981. I believe part 2 of Friday the 13th came out.
Never heard of it.
Was that 81 or was that?
I'm pretty sure it was
that
I
the
mean,
first one?
I can Google it. No, the first one was 80.
80? Well, that was also one of the reasons I think
Let me
why I was
GTS
in
this real quick.
why I was intrigued to pick this movie because it is so early in the 80s, 81, and I thought like, okay, well, this is like kind of at the beginning. This came out at the beginning stages of the slasher film, but apparently
It wasn't.
1 year in, and there's already enough time to have cheap knockoffs.
When was Friday the 13th? I thought it was like 77 or
No,
something.
it was
80.
like 80. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I thought it was earlier.
Let me see here. 81. So in 81, you had American Werewolf in London.
Not a slasher, but
Not a slasher, but
Good
fuck
point.
you, good one. Blood Beach, Bloody Moon, Burial Ground, The Burning,
A lot of bees.
yeah.
A lot of bees on this list.
I should
Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
Burning.
Speaking of that, Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. Dawn of the Mummy, big hit. Here's some of its competition. The Entity, not a slasher, but then after that you had The Evil Dead, Evil Speak.
This is all in the same year.
Yeah, this is all 81.
Good year. Good
Yeah.
year.
Friday,
for
the
film.
Damn.
Friday the 13th Part 2 was in 81.
So
Halloween 2 was in 81.
Yeah, the first one was 79.
The Howling. You had just My Bloody Valentine.
Man,
There we go.
getting hit with like all these.
Boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
Exactly. Omen 3, Piranha 2,
Yeah, James Cameron.
The
First film.
Prowler. I mean, there's a ton of great horror movies that came out in 1981. So it's kind of easy to see why this one was overlooked because, I mean, it's pretty damn.
It's pretty cookie cutter.
It's
but
pretty cookie cutter. All right, so let me just stop, Chris. Let me stop myself right there, and let me go into the synopsis because I don't think I've said that yet, and tell people what this movie's about. If you don't know what it's about an unknown killer clad in some World War II U.S. Army fatigues who stalks a small New Jersey town bent on reliving a 35-year-old double murder by focusing on a group of college kids holding an annual spring dance that,
well, it's not annual.
well, it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to
It
be.
was
yeah.
supposed to be.
It's a spring dance that
It was
they
on-
hadn't done in like
35
30
years.
Yeah, because of a double murder.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was on hiatus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a permanent hiatus.
Because of a double murder. And they finally, in the 80s, they finally said, you know what?
Fuck that double murder.
Yeah.
We're past all the turmoil in our small New Jersey town.
We've gotten over it.
New Jersey?
That's what it says.
Yeah, yeah.
We're over it in our small New Jersey town, and we're going to move on, and we're going to hold this thing. It's very brave of them.
Yeah.
35 years later,
You know,
to forget this
they're-
murder.
They're showing the killer, hey, you know what? Your fear doesn't work on us.
Doesn't work on us.
Wow.
But then it does.
It sure did.
All right, so you know what? Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about The Prowler.
It was 1945, the night of the graduation dance. The war overseas had just ended. The terror at home
Roy.
was about to begin.
Roy?
Come on, kid. Don't play hard to get. What about New Year's Eve?
Well, that was different. I couldn't help myself.
The Prowler. If he wants you, he'll get you.
All right, guys, so we're back, and we are talking about The Prowler. Came out in 1981, had a budget of $1 million. So let's just start with the three openings of the film. I think it has three openings. You may disagree. Other people that are either watched the film or are in this room right now. Anyone disagree with that it has three openings? I'll give you the three openings. Newsreel, the 40s party,
Okay.
and then the 80s current
Yeah.
status.
Yeah, that was it's like the reverse of Return of the King.
Well, I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna say that the newsreel section made me think that maybe there was some kind of weird ass commercial before this movie started. I had no idea that was actually a part of this film until like I started tying together with the whole like, you know, the backstory of the killer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was like, what the hell is this? I'm like check. I'm like, is this the right movie?
I thought the exact same thing, actually. I thought that was just more. I don't know if I would quite call that an intro. Maybe I'd just call it like it's just setting it up like a. Help me out,
Well,
Mike.
it gives you. It's
like
weird.
a prologue.
Prologue. There
Yeah.
you go. It's a
Well,
prologue.
it's giving you backstory on the killer before they even introduce the killer.
It's giving you
Because it
It
talks about our boys are coming home mentally disturbed from all the war images they've seen.
that and then it made the most obvious connection to the killer, which is like and all the boys who got the Dear John letters.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happened. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, to Chris's point, I didn't think it was necessary. But then again, in a movie that doesn't give a whole lot of exposition, it's really one of the only things you get.
Then it goes into like the next intro, which is the 40s party where they feel like they spent all of their budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was for this.
It's very grand.
That was an expensive sock hop.
Down to the cars and everything.
But dude, it was beautifully shot. Was it the film that gave it that glow? What gave it a glow? Did anyone notice that it
filter.
like glowed?
I think it was all those lights that they had on the building.
No, that's a lens filter.
I don't know what it was. I guess what were they trying to give it, like a sepia tone?
No,
I don't know what they were.
They're giving it an old timey glow.
It's
It's an actual film. I think I own one of those filters for my camera.
They didn't have an iPhone at this time where
Yeah.
you could just throw an old timey glow on it, Kyle.
Yeah.
What filter was it?
All
then?
I know is that it was
a lens
impressively.
filter.
It was impressively shot.
X Pro 2.
was.
I don't fucking know.
There was a lot of big wide shots.
Yeah.
A lot of extras walking around. It made the film right off the bat. I'm like, wow, what's the budget on this? I had to double check the budget because
Yeah, it made
I didn't know what I was in for. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was really well done. And then you meet Rosemary and her asshole of a boyfriend that she left.
I wanted him to die right away, dude.
That she left maybe the killer for, we'll say, at this time in the movie.
I'll
Like,
assume that's what
yeah,
happened.
that's what I assumed too. I was like, well, I guess that was the killer who got the Dear John letter. I guess that
Yeah,
was his girlfriend.
I think that's what we were supposed to
assume.
Yeah.
Because and I think he uses the same kill. The director uses the same kill in the Friday the 13th that he directed.
Oh, with the pitchfork?
With the pitchfork. Doesn't he
Okay,
use
that
the
make-
same?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he uses that same kill in Friday in the 30th. The
30th.
Right. He does
Right.
it in the final chapter. I'm pretty sure he uses it in the
think
final
you're right.
chapter.
Yeah.
Which is also stolen from another movie. I can't remember that pitchfork scene is stolen from another movie.
Wizard of Oz.
No, it wasn't Wizard of Oz.
No.
It was another
It wasn't Wizard of Oz.
Oh man.
early slasher. I can't remember the name of it that kind of started it all. I think it was an Italian one. So you get that, and it's beautifully shot. And what's he say? Yeah, he's a dick, dude. He says like some effed up thing, like take the.
We don't
D.
have to take your dress off.
Yeah, you don't. Have to, yeah,
Yeah.
real classy.
He's
He's a real
You know
classy
what?
fella.
You could say he's smooth. That's
Yeah.
what you can just use to describe him.
He's a shithead.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
And then she gets pinned together with a,
Yeah, I think it's.
I didn't. Okay, can we just? So we see the weapon choice right off the bat is a pitchfork for
Right.
this. Where does this come into play with World War II?
It actually makes no sense, and I didn't see any farmland anywhere. So where was the hay being shoveled?
they're in New Jersey, so
Yeah.
it's not like they're at the shore on the beach. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. If they're-
What do you need a pitchfork
No.
for?
I chalk it up just to a lot of the slashers have like a signature weapon, and so they just thought, okay, this is going to be
Yeah,
the hit.
bayonet.
The bayonet
Yeah.
was I thought was the obvious choice, and they were like, yeah, you know what though?
It's not unique
Like,
enough.
fuck it. You use a pitchfork. He's a farm boy deep
Yeah,
down.
but
in
it,
heart.
but it totally goes hand in hand with his. Why would you double down
Yeah.
and make the killer's
'Cause that-
costume army fatigues and then have him use a pitchfork instead of the bayonet?
Because the stupid thinking right there. Well, it's got to have his signature weapon. Like that's why, right there. That's why they use
Thanks,
the pitchfork.
Chris. Thanks for ruining this.
People
movie.
like you, Chris.
It's not stupid if they just keep doing it.
Bayonet would have made way more sense. It would have been great.
Okay. Well, this movie is not. I'm not banking on the fact that it makes a whole lot of sense. There's tons of plot holes in this film, so
There sure is.
So then, after that whole ordeal, we skip 35 years into the future to 1980 or 81. I can't remember.
Yeah, I get modern day,
Modern
present
day.
time,
Present time.
Yeah.
And we open up with the deputy hitting on the college teenage girls. I don't know. I have no
college
idea.
age girls.
Grown ass adult people that need permission to do stuff. I don't know what the hell age they are.
What do you mean permission?
Oh my god! Everything just. I'm like I couldn't figure. They're in college. It's like you want to have a dance, just leave. Like.
You're saying they had to get permission to have that
Well, that
dance?
and it was just felt like they're like, oh, I gotta sneak in some booze so the chaperone doesn't get. I was like, what college
Yeah,
are you
that's
in that
true.
you're graduated that you weren't old enough to drink?
Well, think about it this way, though. I mean, weren't they in like a sorority or like dorm rooms or something?
I have
mean,
no-
so
I-
they're still kind of under the
just-
watchful eye of the
But
school.
what
Yeah, that's
school?
true.
Like what universities out here? Like it looked like
It
a
was
small
it was
fishing
It
town.
was like a weird military. It was like a military school.
No, it
guess.
wasn't.
Then why was what was his name? The
Chatham.
Chatham.
He just happened to
Lieutenant
own.
Chatham.
He just happened to own a house across the street from the school. His
Yeah.
house was probably there before the school was.
They had to get permission from Major Chatham to hold the dance.
Yeah, he was the one keeping it away or keeping it from happening
Yeah.
like, for the last 35
Well, that's because it was
years.
his daughter.
Right.
his
yeah, I
daughter
think that's
that
what the
died.
reason was.
Yeah,
I think they were asking him as like
So
a
he was like the
formality.
dean. No, he was. I took it as like he was like the dean.
No,
Did no one
no.
else
No,
think that?
I didn't think
I
that.
do think
He's
that
just the
that's
town
no
creepy
one
guy.
would have cared. They would have said, F you, Chatham. We're going to throw
Well,
the dance anyway 10
I
years
mean-
before that.
I mean, honestly, that's not so far-fetched to ask for permission from like a town that refused to have that dance since the double murder, and what are we 30 years later, and
Yeah.
now it's like, all right, we should
Well,
at
no,
least ask permission.
But here's
No,
a question.
the only reason they asked for permission or got away with doing it was because he was a stroke victim.
Yeah, that's the part I don't understand. So what did they ask him? And it was like, what, blink twice? Yes. He couldn't speak,
Yeah,
right?
He can't say no now because he had a stroke, so we might as well ask him now. Like,
Hey,
that doesn't
maybe.
seem right.
I didn't even catch that as a plot point.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
in
it
the film.
seems like he's like. That's why to me it seems like he's a dean or something like that. Like
if he is, then why is this comatose person in a wheelchair a dean? It's such a
it seems
weird.
like but doesn't he seem like he's in some sort of position of power with whatever school they're going to? Am I the only one
I
who
think
got
it's just that
No,
small of a
yeah.
town that he's like a well-known person, and
Yeah.
this is a well-known thing
I
that
just saw
happened to him.
I just saw it as his daughter got murdered, and they were asking him, like, hey, look, I know this happened to you. Would it be okay if we actually brought back the dance because this might be a sore subject for you?
Yeah.
And he, I guess, just stared at them because that's all he could do.
So, anyways, we're at this point. We're introduced to Deputy Mark, who has beautiful bone structure.
Looked great.
Beautiful bone structure. The man has impeccable bone structure. Them cheeks, woo!
Yeah.
Boy, does it look like he's been doing meth. They pop. They pop right out. They are fantastic. We meet him, and I'm guessing he's like rough 25. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
And he's talking to girls who I don't know. They're in the range of, I would say, I don't know what they're supposed to be in this movie. They're supposed to be 18 to 25.
Yeah,
I feel like.
that's college age. Is like 18 to 25.
But they're supposed to be seniors because they're graduating. This is like a graduating dance.
Well, then they're in their like 21.
So why do they need to spike the punch?
Because it's
And
still
for-
No.
still a school sanctioned event. You can't bring booze
Yeah.
to a college now
Well,
at a college functioned event.
And not to mention it,
I don't know,
obviously
this
they
is-
could get a hold of booze because the
They
one
did.
dude the one dude shows up with a handle of fucking vodka that he's chugging on like the whole time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I didn't see that.
they're setting up. They basically set up for the party, and then it's weird because you're introduced to Pam, who's the main character, the the survivor girl, basically.
The the final girl. kinda.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, is she though? When you first meet her, is that
What?
weird?
What do you mean?
Because I didn't catch on right away that she was the main character until like after. I want to say almost after the first kill.
I caught on to it.
I thought I did. I think I did too.
I had a hard time following it. I'm with you on this one, Cody. I had a hard time following who.
Because
the,
originally, I think it's the girl he's hitting on who's putting
Yeah.
up the flyer.
Yeah.
And then Pam kind of comes into it, and you follow her story a little bit, but then you kind of go back to the girl. I can't remember her name. For the light, is it Lisa? Sherry? Is it Lisa or Sherry? It's one of the two. Is putting up the banner. You go back to her, and she's flashing Major Chatham.
Yeah, she
Across the window.
that's,
So why is his house on campus too if he's not a part of the school?
his house isn't on campus? It's across the street. It's a sorority house. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sorority houses.
I never got that it was a sorority house. I thought it was the
Really?
dorm.
Didn't you watch the movie Neighbors?
I thought it was a dorm. I thought this was
Fraternities can be
I
right
liked
next
it.
door to your neighbor.
Yeah.
to me, this seemed like it was a dorm, not a fraternity, like not a maternity, but not a fraternity or a sorority.
Honestly, I thought it was just like a random ballroom.
No,
Like,
no,
they
he's
were
talking about,
just
he's
like-
talking about where they're living.
Where the girls were living.
Where the shower
Oh
scene
yeah, because they were
happens.
all in the room together. Yeah, I guess it is.
I took it as a dorm room.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like the inside. I mean, it's got all these stairs going up and down. It's got all these hallways and
Yeah,
rooms.
but it looks
it looks like a sorority.
To me, it looks like a dorm because it looks almost like an apartment layout. To me, I'm just saying.
But is the ballroom where the dance is being held? Is
That's
that
part of the school?
Part of the school. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's somewhere else. That's like
And
down the
pool.
street.
And the pool.
Yes, the pool is part of the school.
Yeah.
That's where they do their Olympics. In a play
I don't know.
pool.
I don't think they. I don't think they have an Olympic
Bean-shaped
team.
pool.
Yeah.
Bean-shaped pool.
It's a very odd campus. I think that's what we're getting at here.
So you see that, and then you see the girls getting ready, and then the one girl in the shower, and then that's when you come to your first kill, which was pretty righteous, I gotta say. Like,
Definitely.
I was really
The
into
boyfriend?
that. The boyfriend comes in,
Yeah.
and is like, "Are you ready to go?" And she's like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, "Well, I didn't get an invite to get in the shower, basically." And she's like, "Well, how fast can you take your clothes off?" He's like, "Start your time watch, coach."
and he takes his time.
And he takes his.
He just
takes
kinda
his
sits
sweet
down.
ass time. He
Yeah.
really does.
He closes the
He
door,
takes
locks
his
it.
tie off and then lays it ever so gently
Folds
down,
it.
folds it up, and
It's a rental, dude. You got to be careful with those.
can't stain this, babe.
Yeah.
And then for that trouble, for trying to take care of his stuff, what's he get?
He gets killed.
He gets a knife to the head.
Right through the
Right
head.
through
Right
Right
through
to
the
the
top,
top of the fucking skull.
down to the bottom of the jaw. Oh, some great effect, man! I love that. And when the white of the eyes turn white.
Yeah.
Ah,
I actually, as much as I loved the murder, I had a hard time. Like, what's going on here? Like,
What do you mean?
like, okay, so the knife goes through his head, and then his eyes go white.
yeah.
Like, what medical
I
His
took
eyes
scenario
rolled back
occurred
in
I
his
here?
took,
head?
yeah, I took it as his eyes rolled back.
Okay,
in
so
the
his
back of
eyes
head.
rolled back in his head. I was just kind of like,
Our effects weren't
he
like
stays,
that great yet.
Well,
like,
I mean, he stays alive for quite
That's
a
what
while.
I was just gonna say. That's the thing that confused me. Is like he literally got stabbed in the middle of the brain, and the dude is still alive.
no, from what I understand, is it looked so good they decide to hold on it longer,
Okay.
basically.
Oh, okay.
Get their
Like,
money's worth.
yeah,
out.
Well,
because
this
it-
this
because it
explains
looks-
the next shot.
Because it looks so good.
Next shot looked fantastic.
Next shot is when we go into the shower with our pitchfork, pulled it out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And
got it through that window.
and then we ram it into the blonde with the big boobs,
Yeah.
and we lift her up.
A few times
Yeah,
for I'm assuming effect.
which was a very who are we copying on this one? Do you guys think this was a very slasher? He invented everything. Alfred Hitchcock. It was a very
Yeah, he
psycho.
invented that. He invented it.
No, our joke. We have a running joke.
Oh,
People don't get that
okay.
Alfred Hitchcock. It was an inside joke, but no one even got it here because they
We're
don't know
all
what the fuck
standing
we're talking
outside
about.
right
it's,
now,
so,
shit.
it's so inside,
I
it's
got
out.
it.
Yeah. No, but it's very come on, it's an obvious throw up to Alfred Hitchcock and Psycho. That's
Well, they do
Well,
the-
I
they
mean,
do the point of
shower
view
thing.
shot
The
and-
shower thing is a common trope in all slasher films. A chick always gets killed in or around the shower because it's a chance to show off some tits.
Plus, you're in a vulnerable position. Like you're naked in a small room and
Naked
nowhere
and
to go.
afraid.
You know, I think that's where that comes from.
How do you feel? One of the things that this movie's kind of like praised for is how it builds suspense. Do you feel like it was good at building suspense, and its mystery? Apparently, its mystery is very good for a slasher film.
For its time, I can maybe for its time, but it doesn't translate.
I
well.
kind of knew right away. Did anyone else know right away?
As a sheriff, yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
If you don't know it, like there's only two options. It's absolutely fucking the sheriff, or it's such a bad misdirect.
Yeah,
It's so obvious.
he's the only character that like I'm going out of town,
Yeah, but-
and then
and then
all this
he's-
shit starts happening.
And then with such disdain,
Yeah.
looks at the guy and just makes sure those goddamn kids don't like. It's
yeah,
just
he
like
was very
what's
bizarre.
going on here.
Can I tell you what though? They in this movie in 1981 they captured me perfectly as an employee at one time.
What do you mean?
How's that?
When he calls up the fucking cabin, and the guy is like, "Yeah, let me go check," and just sets the phone down and
Makes
is like,
all the noise to make it
Yeah.
sound like he's going
"Oh,
somewhere.
I've done that shit before." You
I
better
will-
believe it.
I do want to give credit to that scene by how long they stay on
Oh,
him.
it's so great.
It almost seemed like a Family Guy like gag. It just sat there in silence, and he's just like sitting there and just like
And it
chilling.
just keeps cutting back to him. He's on the phone, just
Yeah.
shifting around and shuffling.
That was skipping a little bit ahead. What happens after that? They go back to the dance after. Oh no, yeah, they actually go back to the dance after the first kill, and then Pam gets a drink spilled on her because her boyfriend, Deputy Mark,
yeah.
is flirting with the girl that he was flirting with in the beginning. Again, blurring the lines of who the main character is in this film.
Well, the thing that was like confusing to me was it seemed like he got pulled. She was pulling him in,
Yeah,
and
no,
he was
she
just kind of
definitely was.
going along with it and whatever. And Pam was getting jealous, and then the sheriff or whatever the deputy was like, "Oh no, it's no big deal" or whatever. And then she comes back up and starts like hitting on him again. I felt like she was pursuing him more than he was being a sleazeball.
No, that's true. And then Pam gets a drink spilled on her, and she goes to change, and that's when she sees the body.
She doesn't see anybody when she changes.
Yeah.
No, it's you're right.
She just sees the prowler.
It's not until the end where you see the body.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Why didn't she question how fucking long she was in the shower?
Yeah, no shit. I'd be like, "Are you all right, girl?"
Yeah, because she saw her boyfriend's clothes there, so she's like, "Oh, they're fucking."
I'm not going in there.
After we spill the drink, all that happens. We go back up to the room, and this is where the most amazing part of this movie happens. This is where we get to see Vicki Dawson, Pam, in the movie, run like she's in the fucking Olympics in high heels. I've never seen anyone in any movie ever run like that in heels alone. She takes a fucking flight of stairs in 2 seconds.
Yeah. No problem, dude. In heels, just flying, dude.
It is amazing. I've never seen anybody move like that. No
So
killer
how do
can
you?
catch her.
I'm trying to figure out how you even get the physics to do this.
What do you mean?
Like, do you get on your really on your tippy toes and
Dude,
just kind of run on your tippy toes?
Did you use when you saw her?
Yeah, how do you run?
Her run past Major
Chatham.
Chatham. Yeah.
She is like in a full on like sprint.
Do you see her like the whole feet and everything?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I don't know
she
how
goes
she
down
does
the
it.
stairs on the back, like behind the house. She like glides down them like a gazelle.
Wow.
Here's another thing I want to talk about that needs to be brought up, and I kind of hinted on it a little bit earlier. Just the overall look of the killer and how it was. I was so disappointed when I saw. I'm like,
Oh well, yeah, you're going from thinking he's a sea monster from the cover art to
it's a dude wearing a bag.
Yeah, it's like
He's got some kind of mesh.
Yeah,
kind
mesh
of
bag
ghillie
on his
suit
head.
mesh.
it was really it was a real disappointment.
It was not a terrifying character, like looks wise.
I
It
didn't
wasn't
care.
like
Yeah.
at the time, like I guess at that time,
At the time, it was new and fresh, but I mean,
Friday the 13th. I guess
Friday the 13th Part 2 was like.
well, that's when you finally give him a look. But,
Yeah.
but Jason in the first one didn't really have a look. I mean, I guess you
Jason's not in the first one.
well, he is at the end. They do the ode to him ending in this one too. Is like my feeling.
What's that?
Where this film ends with the boyfriend coming back to life and grabbing her in the shower.
I thought that I felt very pieces on
Yeah,
that
I
one.
totally did.
That was like totally pieces.
I felt like they're doing like Jason jumping out of the water, grabbing the,
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no, in the second one, Jason doesn't have the hockey mask. Remember?
He's got the bag on his head.
That's right.
Yeah, he's got a sack. With
yeah,
one
but
eye hole.
but you get like
Kind of like this guy.
but you get a brooding, you get like a brooding, like threatening feel from him. That one, Halloween, you get another brooding, like
yeah. This guy definitely looked pretty lean.
this guy
and small and short, like he wasn't impending,
Yeah.
like in any way.
This
He's
one's
like a
Like,
track runner.
Yeah, you get like, oh, you're on a hunting trip.
yeah.
Like it really looked like he left to go to the cabin. Like that's probably like.
I
There's the
I will
sheriff.
say I did like the scene where it cut to him like suiting up.
Oh, in the
shit-
in the
that-
oh, with
yeah.
the tying the
He's like
boots.
putting his boots on, putting
Yeah.
his whole fucking thing. I'm like,
like
oh
the
shit,
like a
this is gonna
Rambo
get fucking
scene.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the most
No.
part, well, it kind of did. Like the kick in the pool is like another. That made me laugh my ass off because I've never seen a girl act so hard to drown in my life. She was throwing like, ah! Like, that's how hard she was acting to drown. Like this, that's like how furious she was shaking underwater. And I was like, how did you not hear him get in the pool?
Yeah, where was he? That part just confused the
Yeah.
shit out of me. She's like in the pool. She looks all around. You
But
can
that's-
clearly see the bottom of the pool from the camera angle, so I imagine she can as well. Like,
What's he just
I've
chilling
been in
with
a pool
snorkel
before.
somewhere?
It's
I
not
think
like
this is what
anything
he
below
does.
the water.
I
is-
think he kicks her in the head, and then he runs around the pool,
and he books it.
and he jumps in real quick.
Well,
You know,
speak
for an old guy, he sure can run.
of the pool scene. The other thing is when the teacher discovers her in
yeah.
the pool.
Yeah.
How long does it take to notice that there's blood all in the pool. Like I could see it in all the shots.
Well, you know what? Here's the other thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way too. I was like, oh, well, way to have a ton of blood in the pool, but when the boyfriend gets stabbed in the head, it's like a streak of blood on on a sheet.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, how did you hide that much blood?
Exactly.
Well, the
knife held
jugular.
it in.
The jugular. Maybe the brain doesn't bleed that much.
It doesn't.
I'm not a surgeon. I don't know.
So what? Okay, here's the ultimate question for you guys, because this is something I want to know. Because this does have a cult following, but what makes it a cult film?
That's a really good question. Because I mean,
'cause to me, this is a pretty cookie cutter, carbon copy of Halloween and of Friday the 13th.
I mean, you brought it up earlier, and the film did get a lot of praise for the amount of, I guess, mystery that was involved. And when it first came out, maybe it was one of the only slashers that didn't lead people on as much. And because I mean, this film doesn't completely have a slasher feel, at least to me, as like say a Friday the 13th or something. Like I get more of like a Italian giallo feel from it, where it's
I think it's
a lot more slower shots and a lot. It's a slower build of the story, and you spend a lot more time with characters, and the kills are intense when they hit you.
I think that's that 40s intro that kind of gives it that feel.
What makes this a cult film for me, or at least for what I think people see in it, is I think there's one major thing, and that's the effects. And it's because the effects are so brutal and gory. And honestly, if you look at a Friday the 13th or a Halloween, there's not a lot of gory effects in those films.
Yeah.
And in the Prowler, thanks to Tom Savini, who is known for this kind of thing, the effects are extremely gory for a mystery film. And I think that's what really stands out about the film.
Let me ask this question. Does Tom Savini blow a head off in every single one of his films?
I think so, and it looks like
Might be
exactly
his
the same.
Might be his trademark.
This is like the Maniac shot in this movie too.
Oh yeah, that in the car.
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
great fucking head pop.
Yep.
The throat cut that he does in the pool.
That's fucking intense.
Brutal.
Like the flabs of skin are moving with the knife.
I don't know how he did that. I mean, unless the knife was concave or something, and then it was maybe pressed to her neck, and then with makeup.
I mean, that right there, the fact that you asked that question, I don't know how he did that, is why it's a cult film.
It really
like
looks like that knife is sliding through it, two flaps of skin. It's just
I don't know. I
unbelievable.
feel like there's got to be more though. Like
I mean,
this is a film that's getting momentum later on though too. This is something that it's not like something that people saw and was like they showed other people, because this movie is carried on as a cult film throughout time. It wasn't like, I don't imagine this was very huge and successful, but obviously people know of it because it's of it. And that's what I have like a hard time distinguishing. It's like, I don't know what makes this one any different than another, typical ripoff of Halloween or
like My Bloody Valentine or like any of those, like
or April Fool's Day or you know what I mean? Like I don't understand. Like besides having kick-ass special effects,
I think that is really what separates it from a lot of the other ones.
Is that enough?
Let me honestly, like every single Tom Savini movie has a cult following because of the gore, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, like Day of the, like all the Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead movies, like they all just have this really unrelenting gore factor in it. Maniac, like we brought up a minute ago, like that's really what when it comes to these kind of horror movies and kind of slash movies, like it really does like movies really go into like two categories. You get like ones that are like legitimately terrifying, and then you've got the ones that are for like the gore hounds that are just brutal and violent, and how amazing are these kills.
Most of the time those are even like, but those are usually coupled together with fun. Does that make sense?
What's that?
Like the more brutal like slasher films.
You mean like a tongue-in-cheek kind of?
Like are like more like
more so nowadays.
Like
but...
no, Friday the 13th was fun. Like those were like before all the killings started happening. Those kids are fun, and you want to hang out with them. And you know what I mean? And I don't think I ever got that feeling from this film. Like, oh, these kids are fun. Like I want to hang out with them. I don't know. Anybody else?
I feel like the movie is slow. It doesn't have the. You're right. There's something magical missing in the execution of this slasher that other ones got right.
Yeah,
maybe I think that's really what
it could just
all
be
boils down to.
Writing. I mean,
going back to what you said, I think it really does boil down to cast. Like, I don't think that anybody in this film is a memorable actor, you know? Like,
and none of them play archetypes. You know what? Maybe that's what it is. None of them play an archetype.
That's true.
There's not like a jock or a nerd
Sure.
or everybody's pretty much like, we're a bunch of seaside kids just hanging out.
Right.
Let's go have a party. Like, that's about it.
yeah, they're just general college kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they're
they're
almost
very
like they're almost
general.
like clones of themselves, with the exception of the girl who flashes the old guy, because you could say like, okay, well, she's like the
So she's the
promiscuous
yeah,
one.
but she
but-
dies real quick. She's
Yeah.
the first one that. pretty
she's
much
the pool.
go.
Well, Pam's the good girl.
Oh yeah, she is the pool. You're right.
I mean, Pam's like the good
Yeah.
girl.
Is she, though?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She's like the virgin. I mean, she's not. I don't know if she is, but like that's how they play her off, her character, the innocent one.
I don't know.
Run like a motherfucker.
But I think that's a great point you bring up, though. Maybe it is because they don't have those same kind of character traits that you see in all the other slashers. That's why this one's kind of looked at or revered a little differently.
What happened? Tell me, what's the matter?
Somebody was chasing me. Someone was chasing me, and Major Chatham grabbed me.
Major Chatham?
Mark, he hurt my arm.
What the hell was Major Chatham doing
I
down
don't
here?
know.
And he chased you?
No, I don't know who chased me. All I saw was boots and some kind of uniform.
Are you okay?
The one thing I will say that this movie does, I think, smart that I could see maybe also giving it that touch of cult film status is how early on in maybe cinema and in general it touches on PTSD.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a central driving motivation of like the character kind of.
yeah and no though, because
I would say I'm with you, Mike.
it's not the reason he's killing has nothing to do necessarily with the war,
But
but rather the girlfriend
The
that
Dear John letter.
yeah, the Dear John letter.
But they also do make a point on the newsreel to say that some of the soldiers that are coming back are fucked up because of what they've seen.
Right.
So if he's screwed up from what he's seen and he gets a Dear
plus
John
the Dear
letter,
John letter on top of that. Yeah.
most of us would go, "Oh, she broke up with me. I'm gonna find a new chick." Not go, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna stab her with her new boyfriend together with a pitchfork."
Because that's how I did it in Naum. Or not Naum. Germany.
Germany.
Here's a question I have that's bothering me throughout this whole film, right? So at the end when it is the sheriff, that is the same guy that came back from
Yes.
the war.
Yeah.
He's somehow managed to stay under the radar. No one really realized that they were
Yes.
dating at any point in time, that he got this letter. No one ever thought
that's
like,
what
well,
you-
they
that's
thought
what
might be a
you're-
suspect.
I took it as everyone didn't know he was home yet. Like no one knew he was home yet from the war.
Yeah.
And they all thought he was still gone. It's a small town. How would they know? It was not like
Yeah,
the
that's
internet
true.
was around.
That actually that did cross my mind when I was watching it. I was like, I did
how
think
I always
he
took
just
it.
they just didn't know he was back yet.
And he took a different identity?
No. He's the same guy.
He
They just
killed
didn't
and
know
then
he was
resumed
home.
life.
How can I have killed her if I was over in Germany fighting the Nazis, Mike?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, then let's, now that I have that cleared out, here was the problem that I did have where I feel like other slashers kind of get this right. So the trope that I understand of slashers that makes them scary is the idea that someone has done something wrong.
Yes.
And even though this killer is going through and slaughtering all these innocent people, they're kind of justified revenge on them for the wrong that was done. So in Friday the 13th, the counselors were not looking after the kid.
Yeah.
He drowns. Mother extracts her revenge. So even though it's a new set of kids, like anyone that's fucking, anyone that's partying it up, anyone that's not doing their job, they deserve to die at some point in time, right? This film kind of has a disconnect because, as I understand it, the big wrong that happens is that this girl dumps this guy while he's supposedly overseas.
Right.
She promised to stay with him, and she fucking breaks
That's a
the
no-no,
promise.
Mike.
That's definitely a no-no. But here's the thing: the war is over. There is no war going on right now, and it's just another. It's just a dance that's
35
happening.
years later.
Right, so these kids are not people that are cheating on their boyfriends or like doing any weird stuff or making promises they couldn't keep.
Yeah.
Like that, there's a disconnect now in the justification that a slasher has.
So then
the
does
sick
it,
justification.
Does it? Okay, so yeah. So then does that mean that this slasher is more terrifying because he doesn't even have a reason for it? He's just killing because
no, because he
wants
has
to kill?
have a reason for it. There's
Why?
there's
He
no.
does have a reason for killing. in this movie.
Yeah, why is he doing it again during the dance?
Well,
why not just?
Well, here's why.
It could have triggered PTSD.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
That he remembers what this dance was the problem.
That's where his girlfriend was banging the other dude, bro.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
You bring that back up, I gotta go crazy on these kids.
No, I understand that, but that's still like it seems like a loose justification. Because in the other ones, like Friday the 13th kills baby, like
Well, I mean, why does Jason continue though?
Why does Jason continue?
Yeah,
because
they keep on showing up at the fucking.
They kill
camp.
his mom.
They keep on trying to open this camp back up and keep on having sex
and
not pay attention to kids.
This dance up and having sex. Like, I get where you're coming from, Mike, and I'm gonna agree with the fan theory that Cody presented, which is like that. Yeah, it's the fact that the dance is happening again has reopened old wounds, and he's having like flashbacks. He's having PTSD, something like that. That's the only justification that I could possibly come up with. Did the movie actually tell me that? No, but
it feels like
it's better than what the movie gave me.
This should have taken place in like Vietnam or something.
Why?
To make that connection better, rather than just any kids. Why isn't he just slaughtering any kid that acts and wiles out?
Why would Vietnam be any different? I'm curious.
Because it's a war.
Why wouldn't he kill
People
any
go
kid that
off
goes to
and
a
they
dance?
go to war and they probably make the same promises.
World War II is a war.
Yeah, that's the point. That happened. The first killing happened in World War II.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
another
why wouldn't this happen again? Why wouldn't the justification of
because that's not his triggers? His triggers are dances. Don't have a dance.
That's so weird, though. It seems like it should be.
Dude, they did a whole.
It does seem like it should be a lot different. A lot of this movie.
If you make a promise, to a guy going overseas and you break it,
but they did a whole movie where like dancing is like a huge trigger, and it almost shuts down a whole town. It's called Footloose.
Dirty Dancing.
Footloose.
Well, what I'll say is though, like maybe he's been satisfied that the dance has been not active for the past 35 years. The Pam, she's the real driving force behind making this dance actually come together finally, and maybe that's just what sets him off.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually a good theory to have because the first person that killer goes for is in Pam's bedroom. He goes to Pam's bedroom first, and she's not there, so he kills people who are there, and the whole movie. You could say the whole movie is kind of like hunting her down. Because she's the whole reason why the dance is happening again.
That's why she's running so fast.
Here's the thing.
That's why she's running heels.
Here's the thing that I wonder too. I wonder if it has something to do with the night also, because here for the last 35 years, every night that this dance is supposed to be held, the sheriff who is the killer has actually been going on a vacation to a secluded retreat, like where he's hiding out, I guess. So I wonder if he's dealing with some of his emotional issues just because of that day, maybe in the woods.
I think so. I think his fishing trip is his way to kind of get out and get away and clear his head and kind of maybe reflect on it. And that now all of a sudden this dance is happening, and now it's like he can't handle that because it's bringing shit to the surface that he has been dealing with.
And it feels like a lot of backstory that we just had to.
I feel like
we've reviewed quite a few movies where we've come up with better backstories than the film actually gave us.
Yeah.
Let's just rate this Mammer Jammer because I feel like we've talked about it enough. Very special Halloween edition.
Very special.
Very special. Very special Halloween edition. Make sure that you stick around for even more Halloween thrills the rest of the month. But Kyle, what are we rating this?
We're going to rate it bayonets.
Bayonets. Let's start with Mike tonight. I'm going to start with Mike tonight. Mike, how many bayonets are you going to give The Prowler?
I'm going to give it 1.5 bayonets.
1.5 bayonets hitting high.
Here's the thing. I just feel like this is a poorly executed film in terms of the story, the structure, what it was trying to go for. It wasn't scary and it wasn't funny. So it kind of like struck out on both those areas. The only area that I'm going to give any bayonets to is the fact that Tom Savini's makeup and special effects are top notch, and they're great and they're really effective. But I can't that alone I was bored throughout this entire film, quite honestly.
Chris,
I'm gonna go with 2 bayonets on this one. It's kind of boring. It's kind of redundant. Not a lot of interesting things happen in this film at all. I kind of hate like what they try to paint as the villains in this, like Major Chatham, and I think the killer is kind of lame, and like none of the teenagers are very memorable. But like Mike said, the effects are fantastic and very effective and very gory. I'm glad they went there with this film, and I think maybe again that's what makes this a cult film, and maybe a favorite amongst horror movie watchers. But I'm not in any hurry to go see this movie again. I'm glad I saw it at least once. It's just if you're feeling bored, I guess watch this movie and be even more bored.
I'll go next. I will say this. The Prowler is one of those movies on Halloween that you can just throw on in the background and hope people catch the really cool kills, and that's what they pay attention to, and then they can forget the rest. So it really is a movie you can just put on in the background and just have the cool kills pop up, and you won't be missing much by missing out on the story. I'm going to give it a 2 also. The special effects are just awesome. That's what gets it. It is boring as all hell, man. I tried to rewatch this movie again to talk about it a second time, and it couldn't hold my attention at all. I mean, it's one of those ones where I feel like you kind of have to buckle down to watch, and that's not fun. That's not what I want to do on Halloween. You know what I mean? So thanks, Kyle. Thanks for starting off my Halloween right with The Prowler. Up next, Kyle.
I'm going to give it 1.5 as well. Yeah, it's sometimes when you pick movies you've never seen before, you can find gems, and sometimes you find a movie like this, which I think the best way to describe this movie is lack of payoff. There's a lot of story arcs and a lot of characters that get set up that could possibly go somewhere cool, somewhere fun. Like, I would have liked to see Major Chatham, anywhere again in the rest of the film. He appears for 5 minutes to upset this girl's sprint, and then he's never in the film again. To Cody's point, you nailed it. If you're having a Halloween party, pop this movie on, put it on mute, and just let it go. And then every once in a while you turn around, you might see a throat get cut, you might see a head blow up. And the special effects are fucking on point and fantastic. And that would be enough reason for me to go on YouTube and find a kill reel of this film. Like, if you want to see what special effects are about. I don't think you need to sit through the whole thing. But 1.5. Yeah, I don't know. There you go.
There it is.
Happy Halloween, guys.
That's actually one thing that we didn't bring up. I want to go back and talk about that you just reminded me of with the Major. How in the hell did he wheel himself out in the middle of the grass when he grabbed?
He got one of those off-road models,
Yeah, he's barely moving.
How did he even get around in that big house he had?
I imagine he had one of those chair things.
You think that's why he rolled out to grab that girl? That's really impressive, but look at this.
What?
She's running around in heels.
Look at me running around in wheels.
I can do this in mud. Watch this shit.
You're doing it in heels. I'm in wheels. What's
heels
up?
and wheels.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is our first Halloween episode. Make sure you stick with us. We got Ernest Scared Stupid coming up. We got Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors coming up, and we have Addams Family Values coming up.
Yes, sir.
So make sure that you check out all of those. Those are going to be the big hits. Don't worry, you already got past the bad movie. We're going to get into the good ones next and really get into the Halloween feel.
I can't bat 1,000 every time.
You can't. I mean, I just don't know who shits on Halloween by picking a terrible movie, but I guess Kyle does. But that's our show for this week. You can follow Kyle.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
And you can tell him how great of a pick he picked. You can follow Chris at
cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
You can follow Mike
at Mike Salustio on Twitter.
And you can follow me on Instagram at VHS Collect. I almost forgot what the fuck it was.
Yeah, it's forgettable.
I know.
I was gonna say, so did we.
I'm dropping F-bombs this episode like nobody's business.
So you just gotta pick a bad movie. Cody will open up.
Can you guys do me a favor? Just subscribe to our podcast. Help us out. We're all poor, and we just need help.
Leave a comment. Go on iTunes. Rate us whatever stars you feel like rating us, and leave a comment because that helps a lot.
Do you got a friend that likes movies too? Tell him. Tag him on something we post, and tell him about the show. Spread the word. We know you guys want to spread the word. I think. I don't know.
I
we don't know that.
think they do. We just have to encourage them.
Or if you hate our show, spread the word. Let everybody know how bad we suck.
Yeah.
Tell them to tune in and listen to how shitty I am as a host.
Well, and if you have friends that don't like movies, why are you even friends?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So just remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next week.